Okay, so that's a huge difference in your tax bill in 2050. Now again, these are not my numbers. This is actually from the Congressional Budget Office. This is what they've projected that they will have to do to pay for Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security in the future. They can only raise taxes. That's the only other option for us to do. So as you can see, the gap continuously gets bigger, and so when taxes are in the future, it is a big, big deal because we don't know what taxes are going to be in the future, and everybody can speculate. But when you look at the own Congressional Budget Office, the people who set their own numbers, they're telling you that the taxes are going up in the future. That's a big deal because with the cost of expenses and with Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, we're going to have to increase taxes to pay for those things. What we say in 1950, if you took $100 to the grocery store in 1950, you would take the wife, the kids, everybody to bring all of those groceries home. I mean, everybody would have both hands filled with groceries. Today, if you send your kid to the grocery store, back then they called it the 5 and dime. Today they call it the buck or two. And if you send them to the store with $100, they're going to come back with 2 bags full. And you know, inflation has a big part in your buying power in the future. I mean, the easiest way to understand this is gas. Back in 1950, gas was 20 cents a gallon. What is it today? $4 a gallon? And so those are critical pieces when you're looking at planning for the future. Inflation will be definitely a big impact on your spending dollars for the future. But when you're looking at some of the alternatives to achieving retirement goals, really you have 4 options. The first one is you can keep working. You don't retire. You just keep working. The second one is you spend less in retirement. Basically, you get the one that you afford and not the one you deserve. Or you can retire later. Maybe you wait till age 70, 75 to retire. Or the easy one is you can save more money now. Or there's another alternative to achieving retirement goals, and it's kind of a funny cartoon, but these guys are basically out front glad handing and say, please donate to our retirement fund. So it's just a different way of looking at it. But really the most important thing is starting to save now. Now, when we look at your retirement income in the future, one of the things that you got to understand is, well, where will my money be coming from? Because I think that's important. Really, the 3 pillars of retirement income, the first one is Social Security, employer pensions is the second one, and individual savings is the third one. And as you can see, there's a question mark by each one of them, so let's kind of address them one at a time. This is actual article from the Associated Press on January 27th, 2011, talking about Social Security, saying that the Social Security fund will be drained by the year 2037 and that it will be gone by the year 2037 based on its current predictions. It goes on to say that the CBO reported in the USA Today, January 27th of 2011, that Social Security, starting this year, will permanently run an annual deficit every single year that we have it. And a lot of times, when you're focused on what the media says, because the media typically gives you a lot of hype and a lot of conjecture and kind of scares you a little bit, so you don't really know what's reality and what's real. Well, the easiest way to learn what's real and what's reality is actually what the government says themselves. And this is a press release from the Social Security Administration, and it goes on to say that the combined assets of Social Security trust funds will be exhausted in the year 2037, the same as projected last year. The trustees also project that the program costs will exceed tax revenues in year 2010 and 2011 and be less than tax revenues in 2012 through 2014, and then permanently exceeding tax revenues beginning in the year 2015, 1 year earlier than estimated in last year's reports. So the articles that I showed you earlier, yes, that's the media talking, and those are news stories, but this is the actual press release where they got their information from the Social Security. And again, you can go on their website and pull it off yourself. Matter of fact, what I do believe is that most people say, well, Jody, will Social Security be here in the future? And the answer is, yes, I think it's going to be here in the future. I just think it's going to be in a lesser version. It might give you less benefits, and it might take you longer to receive it. And some of that's already happened now, and most people don't even realize it. This is another press release, October 15, 2010, from the Social Security Administration, and they say under the new law, there will be no Social Security COLA for 2011, and they've already extended that into 2012. Now, COLA, they're not talking soft drinks. That's the actual cost of living adjustment. Okay, and that really comes into play with inflation. And why that's so important, because for instance, if you're getting $1,000 of Social Security this year, next year, based on cost of living adjustment, you would get a little bit more to deal with inflation. Well, what they've done is they went ahead and enacted a law saying next year, you've got $1,000 this year, you're going to get $1,000 next year. There will be no cost of living adjustment for that. Now, the easiest way to kind of understand that is, last year this time, gas was a lot cheaper than it is today, right?
That's right.
Okay, and today it's almost $4 a gallon, but you still only have that $1,000 to pay for that same gallon of gas. So it's going to eat up more of your money because there is no cost of living adjustment for that. So when I tell people, they ask me, are Social Security going to be here? Yes, it'll be here. It's just going to be in a lot lesser version of it. And as you can see right now, if you were born in 1960 and later, the earliest you can get full-blown Social Security benefits is at the age of 67. And so I believe in the future, and the government believes, that they're going to probably extend that to keep it a viable option. Because the one thing I always tell people, and they say, well, how can you be so sure that Social Security will be here in the future when you just said it's going to go bankrupt in the year 2037? Well, believe it or not, the only saving grace for us, and I know this is crazy for me to say this, is our actual politicians. Because our politicians like to be reelected, right? They definitely want to be reelected. And they definitely know that some of the major things that they want to preserve are Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. That's the big battle in most of the times in the Congress, right? Every year we get a new president, it's a new issue. And this article goes on to say from the Washington Times, it actually came out February 1st, 2011, lawmakers are wary of touching entitlements. And they are saying that they definitely do not want to reduce entitlements such as Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, and they're fighting. Even President Obama came out, and this is an article from AARP, January 26th of this year, in his State of the Union address, saying that he's going to protect health care reform and strengthen Social Security. So they understand that they've got to fix this. Are they going to fix it to the point to where we're not going to get Social Security? Like I said, we're probably just going to get it less. And this article from Kiplinger's actually talks about it. And it came out in February of 2011. And it says you'll still get Social Security. And it goes on to say, against the backdrop of the bipartisan National Commission of Fiscal Responsibility and Reform unveiled a controversial proposal to save Social Security through a combination of higher payroll taxes, lower benefits for the wealthy and retirees, eventually older ages of claiming benefits. The Commission's proposal is merely a starting point for a national debate, and it could be years before these or any other Social Security reforms are enacted. But it should serve as fair warning to future retirees that benefits will be smaller and that you may have to wait longer to collect them. So again, they're basically saying exactly what I'm showing you now and what Social Security is basically showing you. So Social Security will be a part of your retirement income. How much and how long it's going to take you to get it, we don't know. Okay. The next area that you're talking about with Social Security is employer pensions. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know too many people in today's world that actually have an employer pension. And if they do, they're extremely lucky. Because most people don't. This is an article out of USA Today going back and talking about traditional company pensions are going away fast. And the article goes on to say that most companies who have a defined pension program can't even afford to keep funding them. Because what typically happens in this economy, when things go really bad, they don't increase employee benefits, do they?
No, they don't.
They reduce them. And that's what this article is talking about, that many major companies are getting away from traditional pension benefit plans. So we have to be kind of leery of that and wonder, well, okay, Jody, you're telling me my Social Security is going down and that I might not have a pension, or I might, we don't know, it just depends on your company. And the only thing that I can tell you that you can really rely on as your pillar of strength is your own individual savings.